We're here in western Arkansas, and the plan is to take some coyotes with handguns. So we're coming down here to train and then try and put that training to work by setting up on stands that are much closer than what rifle stands would be. So we came down here with Joe Bradshaw. Jay Nistetter decided to tag along. Joe's a perfect person to hunt with pistols.
I'm Joe Bradshaw. I'm a retired Arkansas State Trooper. I did 18 years as a firearms instructor for the state police, as well as a number of years on the statewide SWAT team. During those 18 years as a firearms instructor, I was tasked with taking care of qualifications and training on a troop level.
And so Joe has a unique background in law enforcement, so he is uniquely qualified to give us training for handguns.
I know Steve hasn't shot a lot, and I know Jay has shot quite a bit. I want to help Steve with the basics of sight alignment and trigger control, and see if we can get him up to speed.
We went through the training. The first thing he taught me was sight picture, you know, aligning those sights. And then he talked to me about trigger control, you know, where you squeeze the trigger, not jerk the trigger. Taught me proper form, proper grips.
Steve did pretty well. He really did. He didn't have a whole lot of bad habits. He didn't have a whole lot of habits at all. So we were able to pretty much start with a fresh, clean slate. Steve had a little problem with trigger control.
I had a tendency to push that thing or just anticipate the recoil and try and hold it down.
And I could see my shots moving on the AR-500 targets.
Well, Joe, with his great training, was able to come up with some interesting and some pretty effective methods to break me of that habit. So what he's doing is he's either loading it or not loading it. I don't know if there's a bullet in the chamber or if it's going to be an empty. And what that's doing is clearly showing me if I'm doing something wrong or right. So I now need to work on not pushing the gun down, trying to control recoil.
We were able to work through that, and when we got finished, Steve was consistent at 50 yards, and we were confident that we could go do what we came to do. I appreciate you guys. You worked hard. You did good. I'm confident. I think we can go do something good. All right, guys. Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Happy?
Let's go hunting.
Beautiful morning. We're at our first stand. We're going to try and put all our training that we did this week on the range to work. We'll see how we do. You ready, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's go get our stuff.
I've killed a lot of coyotes right here on the other side of this barn. We'll go in, set up on this side of the barn. They always either come out of this draw or this draw.
The first stand that we made, it was at an old barn, which I've made that stand before with Joe over the years. Knew where they were going to come, or had a pretty good idea.
I'm gonna start this one out with some hand calls and see if we can do any good with that. If we can't, we'll break out the Krakatoa.
Coyote.
Can you get him?
He's too far. No, take him.
You sure?
Yeah. Nice shot. Well, we got the monkey off her back.
We're wasting time.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
What John Wayne say? Slap a piece of bacon on a biscuit. Let's go. We're burning daylight. That's this year's dog.
Yeah, there's no further than
No, that's this year's baby.
First coyotes down, first morning, first stand. Didn't go exactly how we wanted it. I mean,
And then again it did.
And then again it did.
You had 55 yards, about 6 inches wide.
Not a good shot to take.
No, we didn't practice those, did we?
No.
No.
So,
no.
What do you think? Think we should get them in the truck and move on?
We need to get another one.
They're coming.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's go get another one.
Yep, let's go. You know, we're down here in Arkansas with Joe Bradshaw, which has been a very good friend of mine for years. We met years ago through the predator hunting community. We just became very close friends. This is my third trip with Joe.
Joe Bradshaw, I met him 15 years ago, and he's a fellow call maker. He makes his own predator calls, and we talked back and forth and finally met up in Texas, I think it was, at one of the rendezvous, and Joe and I just pretty much hit it off. And one thing about Joe that I learned this trip was that he is a very, very patient man and a good teacher too.
I shot my first coyote, gosh, I don't know, a lot of years ago as a target of opportunity. I guess I was bored sitting on a deer stand. Anyway, it kind of intrigued me, and I went from shooting them when I could to trying to call them and hunt them, and that's about all the hunting I do anymore. The challenge of working predators as opposed to sitting and shooting a deer is just taking a whole lot of the interest of deer hunting out of it for me. I don't really care that much about deer hunting anymore.
You know, we made a couple dry stands, and then we started getting back into the coyotes. You know, we set up on this rock pile that was about 50 yards from the fence line, and we could see beyond the fence line in the tall grass.
Coyote, 100 yards, 12 o'clock. He's going to my right. Disappeared. Do you see him, Joe?
Yeah, he's behind that bush, right there in that fence row. I can see him moving, but there's no shot.
Caught our wind.
That coyote is gone. The wind turned around and came directly behind us, and it was a pretty good gusty wind, and you could see it when it hit them. They were gone. That was the end of that. They're not wanting to play. It means a lot more to them, I think.
It's more serious anyway.
Yeah.
It's more of a life or death situation for them.
Yeah. He's gone, boys. We might as well move along. The next stand, we were able to set up in a place that we've hunted before, and it's been a pretty good producer all through the years.
Coyote, straight out.
There he is. Good shot, Steve. Good job, dude. See?
I think
Don't pay
that's-
attention to it. Just shoot the freaking thing.
I think that was probably my most exciting thing, to be able to get my first coyote with a handgun.
I was really happy for Steve. I know he was really happy. I was looking at him. He was grinning like a Cheshire cat, and so I knew we had done what we came to do. Yeah, it's a good 40 yards.
Yeah, let me just measure back there real quick.
Yeah.
I thought it was about 50 yards, but it actually ended up being 60 yards. And I tell you what, I was so happy at that moment. I got my first handgun coyote. You know, that was a real great feeling.
That's a big dog. That's a 40-pounder.
It's a pretty good sized coat.
I know, I'm tickled.
40-pounder.
And it's dead.
My first kill, coyote kill with a pistol. Very excited. I mean, 60 yards. Joe's training really paid off. We're faced with a lot of challenges on this trip. Even though it's late September, the temperatures are in the mid-90s, it is dry and the winds just keep shifting on us. So towards evening, we got out and we started calling. You know, and we just felt really good about it, but unfortunately, they just turned off and we just grind and grind and grind, made stand after stand, you know, and then finally we decided, you know, why don't we go ahead and make one more stand in this area that Joe has called before.
Well, this will probably be what you think the last stand of the day. Lights falling pretty fast.
Getting close.
We've gotten 2 down today, so then the day's not over. Let's see if we can get one more.
All right, I'm with you. Let's do it.
I say we set up along here. Set the collar inside there. Let them come to that corral. They've been mousing in this corral before.
Yeah, we can try it.
Joe, if they had all hang up, just kill it with a rifle.
Coyote, Steve, at the tree line. There he comes, there he comes.
He's leaving, kill him. If you can, he's not committed.
Something, you could see it hit her. There was something she didn't like. She started easing off to the left and just kind of keeping that distance, and she'd stop and look, and she'd stop and look.
And it did not want to come any further. Disappeared a couple of times, it finally popped out.
Take him.
Oh, holy crap.
Still there. Nice shot.
I had a comedy of errors. Everything was gone. I was shooting Steve's rifle, and I hadn't put a round in the chamber when we got there, and I thought I had. So we had that dreaded click, and we were able to recover. In between all the juggling, I made a lucky shot on her, and we got her down.
Man, that was a great shot, Joe. I mean,
Very lucky.
even with all that was going wrong there for you, you still maintained your
very
composure and
lucky.
you got it. I
I
mean,
just soon cut all that out.
hey, I tell you what, it ended successfully. We had a great day. Let's go get this guy.
Let's go.
Number 3. That's not a young coyote
No,
either.
it's not.
That's
I
an
thought
old.
I thought it was, but it's not.
Last stand of the day, successful.
Every kind of mistake that you could make. Round not chambered.
And you even kept your composure and made a perfect shot on her.
Told you all along I'd rather be lucky than good.
I don't buy that for a minute. I've seen you shoot. Fox Pro Fur Takers here in Arkansas. First day, I'd call a success. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Second day on our Arkansas hunt here in Fox Pro Fur Takers. We went a little bit north today from where we were yesterday. So this is a new area for us. What can you tell us about this area, Joe?
All right, Steve's setups will be a little bit different. We're gonna ease on down on this old road and work our way back. And we've got a stiff northeast breeze this morning and coming and going. And we'll try to set up and see if we can get something to go. I think I'm gonna put the call more that way, because if they try to get downwind of the call, it'll bring them in on us. We'll see how it works.
We just did stand after stand after stand, you know, stands that just look fantastic. Coyotes should have been coming to them, but you know, they weren't.
We hit it hard all day long. Coyotes didn't want to play. I thought they would. We had a little bit of a cool down from the day before. I thought, man, it's gonna be good in the morning. Turns out I don't know anything, but I already knew I didn't know anything. Anyway, it was a terrible day. Stand after stand after stand, and nothing. Another dry one, buddy.
Yep, it happens.
Put the call out over there. You get over there. Jay and I'll get under that big pine tree, and we'll see what happens. first coyote today. We've worked all day, all freaking day long. All stinking day. I just kept thinking, should I kill him, should I wait? And hey, that's the world of trying to do it with a handgun.
Still fun.
Maybe we got time for one more stand.
Let's try it.
Let's go. We said, oh gosh, we got time for one more. Let's just run over here at this other little place. We didn't have a lot of time to scope it out. We hadn't scouted it. I knew there were coyotes in the area, but anyway, we ran in quick, set up quick.
Coyote.
The coyote came quick. I think about like 4 minutes. She came in, she checked up about 70 yards. So we made that shot and that ended it.
75 yards.
A female. She wasn't about that wide. Should have been another hard one at 55 or 60 yards.
Well, I can tell you, it looked pretty small at 75 yards with steels.
Well, there you go. That was a great way to wrap up the day. At least we didn't get skunked that day. Overall, I was real happy. We had a real good time with the trip.
You know, I had a great week here in Arkansas. Got to hang out with some of my best friends. We had a good time, a lot of laughs, a lot of great memories.
Great trip, great guys, had a good time. I'm glad they came down, and one of these days we'll do it again.
This has been a fantastic trip, and I can't thank Joe enough for being gracious enough to not only train us, but to take us out hunting. I can't thank Jay enough to come along for this trip. I just had a wonderful time, and I thank those guys tremendously for that.
If you enjoyed this hunt, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to catch every hunt from Fox Pro Hunting TV.